Hey, everybody. How is everybody doing today?
Doing good. How you
Good.
doing?
Everybody doing good? Everybody ready?
The holiday season starts.
I
Ready?
know.
Yep.
Ready to go to New York. It's a little bit warmer in New York City right now than it is here in Georgia. So let's go.
Well, welcome to Across the Wave. Today we're going to be talking about the the Port of New York. And Keith is excited. He's like ready because he's in New York right now. Even though that Alice has New York weather.
Yep.
Get those butter bagels.
Oh my God, the butter bagels. All right, so guys, just keep an eye on the comments while we start our show tonight. Let's welcome in Mike and Rheanna from Mike and Rheanna's Adventures and Rheanna's Life Adventure. Alice Lugo Studio is in the house. Yo, 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 that's her husband. And Cruising with Keith. Woo! And yours truly, Traveling with Tinkerbell. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about the Port of New York. So we're going to get ready to roll and start it here. So let's go. Hello, everybody again. Okay, so today we're bringing you on a little journey. And our journey is going to be the Port of New York. And my part here today is to bring you the history of the Port of New York. So I'm going to start with the early 1900s. The Hudson and the East River were bustling with maritime activity. There was very little harmony and cooperation between New York and New Jersey. The two states frequently fought over jurisdiction's rights on the mighty Hudson River. After years of political negotiations, a compact between the two states was signed in 1921. So could you imagine for 21 years this battle back and forth? And created the Port of New York Authority, which is what it is today. The agency was given a broad mandate to develop and modernize the entire port district. In 1948, the Port Authority assumed responsibility to operate Port Newark. The two world wars and Great Depressions had taken a toll on the port, and it was greatly in need of repairs. Really quickly, I'm going to show you this image of what it used to be back in the time. This is an image what the port used to look like back in the 1940s and around there. So it's pretty neat how it used to be. You can see the bridge on the back over there and what it looks like today. So as we continue our journey here with our history, so they did all the repairs, to the port. And by 1951, Port Newark had become a modern terminal with 21 berths and a deepened 35-foot channel able to accommodate the largest ship. On April 26, 1956, a date that many in the shipping industry hail has the birth of the modern maritime era, an ideal X pioneered by McLean Trucking Company, was rigged and experimented to use standardized cargo containers that were stacked and that were stacked and then unloaded to compatible trucking chassis. The port handled record tonnage in the early 1950s, and agency improvement and modernization investments led to higher employment rates, tenants occupancy, and new business development. On August 15, 1962, the Port Authority opened the world's first container port, Elizabeth Port Authority Maritime Terminal. This photo is shown in the site in 1958. Just before construction started, Elizabeth became known as American Container Capital. Just over a decade later, in 1973, the city of New York purchased Howland Hook Marine Terminal, and subsequently the Port Authority leased a terminal from the city in 1985. After significant redevelopment, including a $4 million for dredging, the authority port reopened in 1996. So if you think about it, how it used to look before, this is what it looks like now. And really quickly, I'm going to give you this other information here. In 1999, the Military Ocean Terminal in Bayonne closed under a U.S. base by the Department of Defense. In 2004, the facility became Cape Liberty Cruise Terminal. And in 2010, the Port of New York and New Jersey purchased the terminal and announced the iconic Bayonne Bridge adjacent to the facilities would be raised, a world's first. The increase of clearance of the 215 feet allowed modern freighters to pass under the span, helping to maintain the port's economic competitiveness. In 2020, the Port of New York and the Port of New Jersey handle cargo containers valued as near as 200 billion. These volumes allowed the port to maintain its position in the largest of the East Coast, with nearly the total market share. 100 years after the creation of the Port of New York and New Jersey, continues its innovation, sustainable best practices, and maintaining the competitive edge. Today, the port is the largest of the East Coast and the third largest of the country. The new generation of container ships and cruise lines on the piers are more environmentally friendly and fuel efficiency. These ships align with the agency's commitment to the Paris Agreement and our commitment to setting aggressiveness in term greenhouse gas reduction targets that calls for 35% reduction by 2025. The Port Authority operations and 80% reduction by 2015 across the footprint. So as you can see, this is the history of that port. And I want to show you guys a picture of what it is today. So look at how beautiful the city is on the back. And then you have the port, how compared to how it used to look back in the time. So that is today in history, and that is my part today. It was very short because I couldn't find like a lot of information on it, but other than that, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring you guys with Miss Alice. Alice is gonna bring you the things to do around the port area.
Hey, everybody. First, I'd like to welcome in a few people. We have Judy Gravina. She says, what a beautiful skyline. And that picture, the last picture you showed, Jackie, I noticed that it was the two World Trade Centers were in that picture. So it was a sweet reminder of what used to be. Marjorie Ambrosi is here with us. And Ross from Orange Cone, welcome in. We have Bill from Warm Strong Adventures. Welcome. Eddie is saying the Brooklyn Bridge is his. Ross says it belongs to Clark. I mean, to him, but Clark won't buy it. Who else do we have? We have Emily in here. Welcome. And I think it's Andrew with Embarkation Nation. And also Scott from the Monster Drill and the Bud Files. I hope I didn't miss anyone, but welcome in. We are so thankful that you are here supporting all of our channels. And now I will continue with telling you about the Port of New York. So if, Jackie, if you could show the first picture, which is 00, this here, you can see there are 3 dots on this picture. And it's because the New York ports include Manhattan and Brooklyn, which are 2 of the counties and boroughs of New York City. And then also the third one on the lower left side of the screen is New Jersey, which is located in Bayonne, New Jersey. And that is also part of the New York ports. But today I'm going to specifically talk about Manhattan Cruise Terminal. So this is what it looks like from the street grid. And you see all the different ports that they have. On the lower left is the Intrepid Museum. And then you have Pier 88 all the way up to Pier 94. And you see it says Manhattan Cruise Terminal. And depending on which ship that you are on, will determine which of these piers from 88 to 94 that you will come in on. So there is parking at the cruise port, of course, but there are also other parking locations around in the area. And so you can find a cheaper place to park. You could go to the next slide. It's just going to be the ports with the ship in there. And you see right next to it, there's Pier 88, and you park right there next to the ports. So it is uncovered right there that you see. Now, it is going to be a bit more expensive to park at the port. But if, let's say, you have mobility issues, and that's your concern more than money, then you'd want to park at the port because it just makes it a whole lot easier for you. And, you know, you'll get some assistance at the terminal. So you know, if you park at the port, you won't have to worry about transferring onto the shuttles to get from the parking garage or a long walk. New York City blocks can be kind of on the long side, depending on which direction you're going. So, you know, these are just things to consider. And then you would just drive up to the port, park your car, and then you just head over and board the ship. And if you truly want the white glove experience, they do offer valet as well, which would eliminate the entire parking process altogether. So, you know, again, it just depends on if the location or accessibility is your main concern and the cost is not. Parking near the Manhattan Cruise Terminal may be the ideal choice for your party and could be worth considering. This parking option is best for those with mobility limitations or those who may need handicap assistance at the terminal. Okay, the parking rates. This is as of 2023. The current parking rate is $45 per vehicle per night. And this is not dependent on the vehicle's size, make, or model, which can be a plus for those traveling with larger size vehicles. Their parking system is based on a first-come, first-served basis. However, you are able to reserve your parking ahead of time, and on their website, which they recommend as port parking, does tend to fill up quickly, especially during the summer and the busier seasons like holidays. There is parking nearby, several parking, and you could show the next slide. And here's just an example. This one is parking at 555 West 57th Street. And I circled where the location is, and you can see where the ports are. So it's a nice little walk from that parking area. There's also another one on 57th and 58th Street. And that's recommended because it's near the Manhattan Cruise Terminal. And also we have public transportation. Now, the little red icons, those are your buses. And then I put squares around the areas because it was a little difficult to see. But the little rectangles, I should say, those are train stations. So you could see how far it is if you take a train in, how far it's going to be that you're going to have to walk from a train, or from these trains, you could get onto a bus, and you could take the bus down to the cruise terminal. And so, you just have to think of, do I have a mobility? Am I not able to do all this walk-in? Do I have a lot of luggage? Do I want to be bringing it up and down steps? Subways have a lot of steps. Sometimes there's escalators, but not all are accessible. So you can put me up. Eddie and I, of course, lived in New York City, and we had a car in Brooklyn. There was alternate side street parking. So, you would think, you live in New York, you take the subways, right? You take it every day to back and forth to work or something. We did not take that car into New York City. First, we were looking at the cost. So, but you have Uber. That's a choice to get around. Uber and Lyft is the other one. And for alternate side street parking, thankfully, I had a cousin that lived not too far away, and they allowed us to park in their driveway. Or we'd park in the driveway, they'd put us on the street. And then when alternate side came, they took care of moving us around. And, we were very thankful to have them available to do that for us. And then we would call car service, a local car service, which could sometimes be cheaper than Uber or Lyft. But you have those options. You have the apps on your phones, and you could put in the information you need to figure out which one is the cheaper one. But anyway, they drop you off right in front of the port. Now, when we did it, it was, I believe it was $50 for one way. And then you give a tip. And I think we ended up giving them like $10 tip or something. I think we paid $60. And then, of course, the luggage, people, when they're taking the luggage, we would give them a tip as well. So you figure you're doing that twice, $120, a whole lot cheaper than parking in one of the garages nearby or parking at the port. So, when you live in the area, that's an option. If you're staying at a hotel nearby, it's cheaper to take the subway and the buses. But if you're not able to do a whole lot of walking, you might want to do the Uber or Lyft. New York City does not have the local car services that Brooklyn does. And I'm not too sure about the other boroughs because I didn't live there. But I know in Brooklyn, if you're staying at a hotel in Brooklyn, it'd be, like I said, $120 for the round trip. You pay one way, and then when you go back, the next. And it's just for the convenience of it. Or you struggle with these suitcases onto the subway and buses and go where you need to go. I also want to say that the cruise port does not have any storage areas. So when you're coming off the ship, maybe you want to look around a little bit. You're not going to be able to leave your luggage there at the ship nearby. You would have to drag it around with you and take it with you. Unless you're staying at a hotel to stay for a few days, then of course you could bring it there. But I would think some hotels do have a place where you could leave your luggage until check-in time, and then you could explore the city that way. But, just do your research and look at the different hotels in the area. Sometimes closer is not always the best. And of course, New York City hotels are expensive. And you also want to research other hotels that, oh, wow, this price is great. There's a reason why it's a great price. So, just make sure you do your research on all of that. You could show the next slide. Okay, so this here is the Manhattan Cruise Terminal. And then it just shows all the different ways. This is the directions that you could find. And if you want to go by car or by taxi, by train, by plane, the airports that you would fly into, these would be your three choices. And it's the JFK, LaGuardia, or Newark. And that would be for whether it's the Manhattan Cruise Line, your Brooklyn cruise, or the New Jersey cruise port. These are the three main airports, and they do have shuttles that can take you to hotels, and they might have to the cruise port as well, or close to it. So you could look into that. And the next one, if you decide that you want to take a bus or train into the city, you would go to the MTA website, and they have Trip Planner. And when you click on the Trip Planner ride, it brings this website. So you would tell it, wherever you are. This was just an example that you're in Times Square. You're going to the cruise port terminal. So let's say you're staying at a hotel that's in the Times Square area, which is like 42nd Street to 44th Street, anywhere in the 40s, really, near Broadway, 7th Avenue. That's considered Times Square. And so when you do this, you want to make sure that we're going to the Manhattan Cruise Terminal, which is near 12th Avenue. You want to put the arrive by time, not the leave at, because you want to know what time. It will tell you what time you need to leave to arrive at the time you want to get to the port. Next slide. So after that, you hit continue, and it brings it up, and it's going to tell you have to take the M42 bus, walk a little bit, take the M12 bus. It's 33 minutes to get there, and you get there at 9:44. So, you say, okay, 33 minutes. I have 33, I have to allow the extra time that's going to take me to walk from where I'm at to where that bus stop is. And you could get the maps on the websites as well, or at any visitor center. Sometimes the hotels might even have the maps available. But let's just say, you can see on the little map that I have here, it says from here, and it shows you that first ride, taking the M42 down to 12th Avenue. You get off and you get the M12, and you're traveling now along 12th Avenue, and you get off there, and then you have to walk a little bit to the cruise pier. Depending on which pier you're leaving from would determine where exactly you would get off. And most of the buses stop like every 2 blocks or so. So that's, a lot of research goes into things. And you can go to many, there's, like 2 or 3 blocks away from the cruise port. There's things to do all over the city. The most expensive thing is the hotels, and then the other things is minimal. But if your luggage is in your hotel room and you came in a few days before the cruise, or you're staying a few days after your cruise, there is so much to do and see in New York City. Mike and Rheanna will be coming on to share, some of the shore excursions with you. But, just don't be afraid of using the New York City subway. Unfortunately, when you do come off of the airplanes, and if you're taking the subways from there, which I've done many times, you don't get a very good impression of what New York City is all about, because unfortunately there's a lot of homeless people, and you see that in the subways, especially when it's cold. They use that as shelter, and they might come up to you begging for money or something, and they recommend that you don't give because there are charities and places that you can give legally. And the more people give to people that are begging for money in places where they shouldn't be, the more you give to them, the more they're going to keep on doing it. So it's best to, just walk by, say a little prayer for them or something, but don't give. The other thing is to stay wide awake when you're on the subways, and don't, have your gold chains, your rings on, on your fingers and stuff. You don't want to be flaunting how much money you might have. And it's best to sit in the conductor train car, which is usually in the middle of the train. So, these are just different things, to be aware of when you are walking around in New York City. Hold on to your purse. Don't put your wallet in your back pocket. Keep it in front. If you could put it inside your jacket on the inside of, close to your body, you do that. But just be aware of your surroundings and have fun and, be careful. But research. So I hope this helps. And now I'll pass it on to Mike and Rheanna.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you, Alice. So we had to do a lot of research on this one. Yep. Obviously, we're from Canada, so we don't know a lot. I've never been to New York. Mike's never been to New York. We've only seen it on TV. So we have to do a lot of different Google searches and everything like that, just so that we could find stuff to talk to you about. While I was researching, I found so much. So I just kind of took a little snapshot of everything and narrowed it down to what the internet says are the best ones to go on. So Tinkerbell, if you want to just start playing the pictures that we have, they can just keep going and I'll just keep talking. So the first thing that you can do is the hop on, hop off bus. Everything that I'm going to list is all included when you pick the larger amounts of time. So if you're only doing the 24-hour one, it'll allow you to go downtown. And you can hop on, hop off going downtown. Once you hit the 48 hours, you will get the downtown and uptown, as well as the Statue of Liberty cruise. Once you hit the 72 hours and anything over that, you will also get the Holiday Light Tour with an entertaining host. You can go to Central Park and get a bike rental. There's also a Brooklyn tour, a museum of the city of New York as well, Skyscraper Museum. You get to go on a night tour as well, and you're going to have an entertaining host there. And you get to stop at the Harry Potter store. And while you're there, you'll get a tankard of butterbeer, free. So the other ones that you can go on there as well is it's Tea Around Town, New York City. It's on a double-decker bus. It lasts for approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes, and you get an entertaining host as well. You can also go to the Rockefeller. You can go to Grand Central, Times Square, and much more. With this tour, you'll get a complimentary tea service, 3-tiered menu service. You're going to get a guaranteed private seating and live performance with narrations. So the best tours that you can go on from what I have found is the Statue of Liberty. There is Ellis Island, Empire State Building, the National September the 11th Memorial and Museum, the Brooklyn Bridge, Rockefeller Center, and One World Observatory. Now, another thing that you can go check out is it's a cruise on a boat. It lasts approximately 60 minutes, and it'll take you to some of the best landmarks that you can see. I did find that this is wheelchair and stroller accessible. You're allowed service animals. All that can go on as well. Another thing that you can do is you can take a walk in Central Park. And while you're there, you can see the movie and TV sites tour. So you're going to walk around the set of hundreds of famous films in the fun, informative tour of Central Park movie and TV sites. Tour, I don't know how to pronounce this. Bethesda Terrace, Woolman Skating Rink, and Strawberry Fields. And you can get the scoop on where films and shows have staged some of their most famous scenes. Like Friends. Also, I don't know how many of you people here watch a lot of TV, but the show Gossip Girl was filmed in New York, and it's different places, the Upper East Side, all that kind of stuff. So you can see different locations where that show is filmed. You can see different hot spots to where Sex and the City was filmed. And you can see where The Sopranos was filmed. So going back, those are just a few. Another thing that you might want to check out while you're there is Madame Tussauds Museum. Now, this museum is located in many different cities. So if you've seen one, you're not necessarily going to see everything the same everywhere. Oh. Yes, Law and Order was filmed there, and Third Rock from the Sun. Yes, very, very.
John Wick.
See, New York is so great.
Yeah.
So much that I could spend days and days and days researching New York City. These are just a few of the things that we found. And like I said, with Madame Tussauds Museum, just because you saw it, say, in Vegas, it's going to be different when you go to New York. Yeah. There's always different wax figures, like real life figures in there. You're going to want to take pictures. So make sure you have your camera, but make sure you don't forget what Alice said about personal security. Yep. Yes, go on the subway, go on the trains, go all that, but be careful just like anywhere. Oh yes, Coney Island, that was another good one. See, so much more than what I have written down here. Real
City Music Hall's another one too.
Christmas time is beautiful. See, you guys, obviously, Eddie, Alice, yep. You lived there. I can tell by the accent. I love the New York accent. I always did. So yeah, these are just a few things that you can do. My best advice is before you go and you want to do, contact your cruise line. Yep. They can give you different things that might be helpful to you, what you may want to do. Now, if you're staying multiple days, a lot of these things are more available. Oh, Emily, FYI, and ask a New York City cop. Sorry, guys, just give me 1 second. Ask a New York City cop if you get lost. Yes, I'm sure they're very, very helpful down there. They would have to be. So before I keep rambling on, make sure you research what you want to do while you're there. Talk to your cruise line. If you know people down there, talk to them. So with all that, we're going to end it here, and we're going to throw it over to Keith.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the news. So today was a high of 38 degrees in New York and a low of 32. And we actually did have, weirdly, a little bit of sleet, some snow actually in parts of Long Island and parts of actually Westchester. Right? So the minimum wage up here is $16 an hour, and the gas price is roughly around $3.70 a gallon for the cheapest gas price, not the more expensive. And and the cruise ships that we had at the ports today, Brooklyn currently had no ships today, and the NCL Getaway was at the Manhattan port today, right? So here we go to the first news, and A Queens man was indicted on a hate crime charges for allegedly stalking and punching a tourist from Israel. So, as you see with the war going on, when there's wars going on, you will see some more hate crime, not even just in New York, throughout the world. So, try to be careful and all that. And now, this is the good news. Right? So, Rockefeller Center, you can put that picture, just had its annual tree lighting, which that's the picture in the middle. And at the end of the month, we are going to be having the New York City time in Times Square, the ball drop. So that's the ball on the left, and on the right, that's a picture I found. It looks like, oh wow, from 2015, right? But I actually one year I actually did that, and it gets really packed, really overcrowded. So if you're the type of person that can't handle all that claustrophobic, that might not be a good place to go, because eventually, like, we're all human, we're all going to have to go to the bathroom. So that's another reason why I will not go, right? On April 21st, the MSC Margaritavilla arrived at the Brooklyn Cruise Port Terminal, and now that cruise, wrong ship, and that cruise ship is going to be sailing year round from the Brooklyn port. So, which is a really good, and it's actually a really nice ship, and it's at a reasonable price. It's one of actually, if I'm correct, it is the cheapest ship to go to from New York. And a lot of cruises that leave from New York, they usually go to Bermuda, Bahamas, or Canada. Anything that's like a 7 to a 10 day, right? So now up to the Venezia. You can put that up now. On June 15, 2023, the Carnival of Venezia had made its, had came to the cruise terminal, and where they made it home. And I was on that sailing, which was June 15th to June 19th to Bermuda. And on that same sailing, that's when they started to use the facial recognition software, which made it a smoother process to get on and off the cruise ships at that port, just not on the first cruise that we were on, because everybody was learning the whole new system, right? And which also a good thing, you could put up the other picture with Christine Duffy. So yeah, so while go back. Yeah, that one. So as you see, that's Christine Duffy there. So when we were there, she was actually greeting all the guests that were coming onto the ship. She was taking multiple pictures, and she was down there with like Mark Q, the captain. So that's also a good thing. And Emily just brought my attention, which she is right. Multiple streets on New Year's Eve will be closed, and it'll be a pain in the neck just to walk across the street. Sometimes just to walk across the street, you might have to walk down 5-10 blocks just to get across the street. So that's also a pain in the neck over there. And also the godfather of that ship was Jane Leno, and that's right now for the news. So I'm going to tell you things that I like about New York, and give you some tips. So because I actually live here, and I'm not in Queens no more. I'm in Westchester, as you all know. So things you should do in New York. Okay, so the Broadway plays is something you should definitely do, but you also have to be cautious about it, right? I went to a Broadway play, but I won't go again because the seats are very tight, very small. So if you're a tall person or a big person, which I'm both, you might not want to do the Broadway play, So that's something that's not going to be for you. And Grand Central Station is a place you should definitely go see. It's on 42nd Street, right? You can actually take the 4, 5, and 6 train over there, right? And I think the 7 also goes there too, right? So you can take that, which I take that every day, going for work, and you can actually take a trip which takes about an hour. If you want to, you can go visit like Stamford, Connecticut, which is actually a nice small little city, So Stamford is actually a really good one, It's a good place to go see because they also have a lot of bars, restaurants out there. So that's something that you may want to go, and that's where the WWE headquarters is. So you might be able to go see that if you're into all that. And That's about 6 p.m., right? So my favorite pizza in New York City, right, is in Queens, right? It's actually in Ridgewood, Queens. It's called Roses, but you gotta make sure you go to the one on Fresh Pond Road. It, that's the original, and that's the best one in my opinion. And my favorite restaurant is the restaurant I took my wife on our first date, which is Parkside Restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant, and it's in Corona, Queens, and that's a really good one. And I think I think that's it. Yeah, I'm. Oh yeah. So nine, and Coney Island is another place you should go see. The Empire State Building, right? Uh, is something that you should definitely go see because you could get like a whole nice view above from Manhattan, right? So you get a good view from above. Another and a hotel by the port, which I really thought it was a really good hotel. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad price for Manhattan. I mean, it's still not gonna be cheap, but for Manhattan, it wasn't a bad price, and it wasn't that far from the hotel. But you still need to take a cab because, in my opinion, I think you should. No matter what hotel you stay at, you're gonna have to take a cab just to get to the port because it's a big ramp to go up. Like it's got like a ramp that goes like that. So it's better off just to take the cab over there. And that hotel is called Catch Boutique, which I did make a video on that one. Let me see if it goes through, and hopefully it goes through. But yeah, so that is the link. It's not clickable, but if you go on my channel, I have actually a walkthrough of the room, and there's actually a really, really big, gorgeous room, and it overlooks the Lincoln Tunnel. So you can actually see the Lincoln Tunnel on the all the way out there on the west side. Another place you should definitely see is the Art Museum. Central Park is a nice place. So, and if you're into sports, there's a lot of sport events all year round. You got the Knicks, the Nets, you got in hockey, you got the Rangers, Islanders. You can even take the pair train to go see the Devils. You could go to Long Island to see the Islanders. And baseball, you got the Yankees, the Mets, and football, you got the Giants and the Jets. So, there's always a lot of sports in, and there's also some minor league teams. You got the Staten Island Yankees and the Brooklyn Cyclones. If you want to go see a minor league game of baseball, which is actually a pretty cheap, reasonable price. And I'm going to pass this over to Tinkerbell. And this is a little bit low. Oh, I totally forgot. Thank you very much, Tinkerbell. So this is the cruise director I'm actually going to be interviewing on Friday. He used to be a Carnival cruise director, and I literally lost his name somewhere in my mess over here. Oh my God, I forgot his name. I will get his name for you in a minute, okay? But yes, on Friday, I'm going to be interviewing that cruise director on Friday on my live at 7 p.m. And he used to be a Carnival cruise director, and now he's a cruise director for American Cruise Lines, which is a river cruise line. So he has an experience on the regular cruise lines and the river. So we're going to talk about his career and experiences of being on those two different types of ships. And I'm going to get you his name right now. I cannot believe my mind just went blank. His name is Kristen De La Rosa, and he was actually on a Carnival cruise ship. I think he ended his tour with Carnival around February or March of this year. Okay, so now Tinkerbell, you can take over, and so.
Hey, well, look at that. How hopefully everybody enjoy. I was like, this is really informative. I really like, this show because, you learn so much like from, and mind you guys, it's not like if we have a conversation, it's like everybody puts his information together and then we all kind of find out during the show, just like you guys are. So it's really cool to learn a lot about New York.
No, yeah, it definitely was. And some subjects I was going to talk about, Alex took care of about like holding your stuff, holding your wallets. Like the only thing I forgot to say is like try not to stay like out there, especially by like Union Square Park because I work over there. And a lot of times and sometimes I say there's a lot of homeless people there, there's a lot. Like I walk past the park, I can see at least 20 to 30 of them. at one
Wow.
time, and a lot of times I'm walking past like fast, or I have to be careful because they will try to like follow people and harass people at that time of night to try to like
That's crazy. But New York is very pretty though.
Yeah.
It has its amazing places that
But
you will not find anywhere else.
no,
So
yeah,
that's
that's definitely.
one thing about New York.
Yeah, there are places that are really beautiful and really nice. But like any city, every city is going to have its good and bad. You know,
Right.
you know. So you just gotta know, like Al said, even if you book a hotel, it might not be in the best area. And they even have like some hotels out there. I heard that are half hotel, half homeless shelters. So you also have to watch out for that one too.
Yeah. Well, Emma is saying over here that what stinks is that you're stuck until after the ball drops. I never went because you have to be in there before you close off all the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always ask myself that question because you see everybody like packed, like one side to side, like shoulder to shoulder. I'm thinking, what happens if you got to use the restroom?
I did it one time. I was in my early 20s, right? One time I did it, and I got lucky because the people I was with, they knew a cop that was working inside the closed off area. So we still got to go into the closed off area, but there was also a lot of people in the closed off area. And the only thing I could tell you is that the minute the ball drops, you're going to see about 20 guys down on one knee. I'm not even kidding you. Yeah, I was like, what's going on? I'm thinking, I was like, I hope they don't drop the ring down the sewer.
Well, Eddie says that 20 minutes after the ball drops, you gotta get going. You gotta go because they have to clean the streets in Times Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are so packed in, and I mean, you have to get there early to get in close enough to see anything. Otherwise, you're further away, and you could just hear the concert, the music that's going on. You might not even see the ball drop because of where you're at. But once you're in that pack, if you try to get out and you do get out, there's no way you're getting back in.
Yeah.
So people will sneak in bottles and things like they gotta pee, and they'll do it right there, right. Your back is to them, but you're all snug together, and they be
Oh
peeing
my
in
God.
that bottle. Yes,
Yeah.
because you gotta go.
They-
Wear your Depends, double
I
it
was
up.
I was just about to say that, Alice. Do they wear the pants, underwear? It's like
They
what
do
do they
something.
wear?
Yeah. When we Eddie first moved in May 2025, and that first year, I mean, we ended up going to Puerto Rico. So let's just say the following year, he's like, "Come on, let's go to." You moved in May 2005, and then we
She's
went to
right.
Puerto Rico in 2005. So it wasn't that New Year's. It would have been in 2000 from 2006 to 2007.
Wow.
And he's like, we're going to go. And I said, no, like crazy. And he looks at me like, why not? And then I explained to him, the crowds and this and that.
Right.
I'm like, you want to go have fun. I'll have fun at home. Like, you won't catch me going there.
Yeah, Judy says that she watched the ball drop in 1975 and we were like sardines. And then she says you make a lot of new friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you will. And the other thing is, like, to me, it's just a big giant crystal ball. I just don't see that it's worth it.
It's not.
It's not worth the time to. And there's some of these people. I'm not even lying. They wait there like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They camp out the day before, just waiting there so that they can watch the ball drop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not even going to do it. I would never even think about waiting there camping there.
Maybe they do it for the experience. Maybe it's just an experience kind of thing to just say, I did it,
I did it. Yeah.
So my opinion is, if you want to wait all that, I know this is going to cost a lot of money, but if you're really just all about the experience, you don't care how much you're going to spend, maybe get a hotel that has a view of the ball, and that's it.
Right. Well, welcome
There
in,
you go.
KK Travels and Education Vlogs. How are you? Welcome in. Yeah, I guess because I've been to New York during that time, during the Christmas time, and
Yeah,
it never even crossed my mind to put myself into that position there because I
yeah.
just saw everybody so tight together. I was like, this is
No,
crazy.
and it's so like I don't know what like as I got older, I can't handle when people like 100 people come on top of me. I get claustrophobic, right? And then I start getting paranoid, and I literally will start throwing people off of me, and I start running. So so I'm not gonna let that happen. So for and
I wonder if
that's
we should
something
do
I
an
wouldn't
across
want to
the
do.
way show from Times Square, a live stream.
No,
No.
because
On New
because
Year's Eve.
if we start doing live streams from there, someone behind you is going to be doing drugs.
Actually, you know
Yeah,
what?
Alice
We'll
knows.
send you from across the way. If you can bring it live to us on a Wednesday evening, there you go.
Well, I could go into Times Square Wednesday evening.
Ah. KK Traveler says, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you? We're doing great over here. We're talking about the Port of New York. So if you just came in, you can always watch the replay and see all the good stuff we talked about earlier today. But yeah, New York is pretty. I like Times Square though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
nice, that area.
Well, there's also some areas that you might like, even though like I work by Union Square, but if you go
Mhm.
down going towards like NYU, you have like a lot of nice like Spanish restaurants over there, which is good. Which I actually find like really good over there because that's starting to become like an upscale area over
Okay.
there. And like even on the west side, like the thing about Times Square is really nice, but it gets so packed to the point where sometimes you can't walk in the sidewalk. You gotta walk in the street.
Right. That's crazy.
You know, so and then during the summertime, they do have like throughout the city, all in all 5 boroughs, they have like those street fairs, which is something that's really good.
I
That I
actually
was
do have a question for both you and Alice because you guys lived over there. When it comes to the cruise port, how bad is it when on embarkation day?
For me and Eddie, it wasn't really that bad. We got dropped off by the local car service, took out our bags, and right there where the port was, they had all the luggage racks,
Mhm.
and they had someone there that helped put the luggage up onto the rack. And then we just walked right into the cruise terminal. They had someone that, employees there that greet us.
Okay.
And we, showed them our papers. They saw Eddie with the walker. They sent us to the the line that if you need assistance. So we went that way. We got checked in, and then we had to sit down in an area. And then when they started boarding, the handicapped people were actually that needed assistance. They were actually first going onto the ship. And I think one time it was a very quick, just walk right in. It wasn't a lot of zigzagging around, but one
Yeah.
time it was. But we didn't have a whole long, wait or anything like that. People that are on the regular lines, I'm not, sure how long they had to wait,
Right.
but that was our experience. It was
Right.
nice and easy.
Well, the reason why I'm asking because there's so many people in New York, and I've been to Times Square where I feel like claustrophobic too because you got all these people walking right next to you, and they're walking so fast. I don't know, maybe Floridians walk slow, but they're flying right next to
Oh
you.
yeah.
And sometimes you want to ask a question, they don't even stop to even bother to even look at
No.
you or nothing. They're just like they're going at 100 miles an hour. If you're staying at 20, that's what you're gonna do. So
Yeah.
that's why I was asking you, if kind of like the cruise was kind of like congested like that as well.
I feel
Well,
like it
I
was
mean,
very organized.
Okay.
yeah,
And
and
when we came off of the cruise, we didn't have the car service pick us up right outside the cruise port. We actually walked across the avenue and over a block. So that way, you're going to see that car service quicker than if you're in a crowd of people, standing nearby.
Okay.
But, people are just coming out, they get in their cars, they're going, it was a constant moving around. And, we had to wait for the car service only because, it was the local service from Brooklyn that we use all the time. Whereas if we called for a Lyft or an Uber, we would have got picked up a lot quicker, but they also would have charged a lot more too.
Right.
So, the tolls are included in the fare that the local car service gives you, because they know they're going from point A to B. They automatically add that in. They know what tolls they're going to, whereas Uber, you get your set price and then they're going to add the tolls and everything.
That's pretty neat, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's actually a smart thing that you did was go, because that's what I always do. I walk out and then I go up to the farm block, and then I'll take like an Uber, because if you get any type of cab at the port or even Uber, they're going to charge you almost double than what you would get if you just walk one block down.
Right.
That's
So
interesting.
instead of a $30, $40 cab, now it becomes $80, $100.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that's why they're waiting. When you walk out of the port, all these they're like Uber, and all the other cabs are waiting them because they're going to charge you arm and a leg.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the first person to say,
yeah.
take me here.
Yeah. And they also recommend that you know what car you're getting into. So, you're going to have people coming up to you. They're all strangers. You don't know them, right? You just got off the ship. You're looking for a car service, Uber, whatever. I think Uber and Lyft, I think they send you a text message and they tell you what car they're going to be driving, what color.
Yeah, the license plate. It'll tell you the
license plate. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is recommended on the website to make sure you look at that, because you might have someone come up to you and say, hey, you need a ride? Right here, I have this car. They have what we used to call, I don't know what they call them now, but they were called gypsy cabs. And in Brooklyn, I had to take a bus to the train and vice versa when I went back home. And so the trains were like $1.25 at the time. Now they're like $3.25. And I was pregnant with my daughter. So if I could get a ride, I'd rather a ride than having to deal with the buses, right? So they had these gypsy cab riders and they would charge $1. And, so it's like, okay, I'm saving a quarter today, a quarter tomorrow. It adds up, right? And when you're young and dumb, thankfully nothing ever happened, but they will cram in a bunch of people. So there's 4 people waiting. Hey, come on, they're making $4 and then they're just dropping them off along the bus route.
Oh, wow.
But they're not legit car service, people. So
that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah. So, when you're in the city itself now, at a cruise port, it's like, and nowadays, I'm talking, this was like 30 something years ago, but nowadays,
don't even get on these cars.
You don't want to just get into any car. You want to make sure.
That is so awesome, though.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I like about this show, because, when, especially like you guys guys were, there and live there. Is really cool, the passion that you have talking about a place that you love. So it's really nice to have this show today.
Yeah.
Like, even though I moved to Westchester, I'm still not. There's a lot of things I miss just about being in New York, right? For example, which we forgot to mention, the bagels. Like the bagels.
The butter bagels.
The butter bagels, right? So even the bagels compared to where I live in Westchester, right, to where I live, I believe they're all garbage. I won't eat no bagels by me because they're garbage, right? So anytime I'm in Manhattan or Queens by my mom's house, that's where I get my bagels from. I'm only going to go there because the bagels are good there. Even the pizza's better there. There's some, and I have certain pizzerias that once I find the good pizzerias, I only go to those pizzerias. And do not buy, like, if you're in Manhattan, it says $1 pizza. It's garbage. It's you better off just going to the supermarket and getting a frozen pizza. That'll be better. I'm right.
When it's close to that payday and you have no money, it's like, all right, give me that pizza.
No, don't get me wrong. There's been times where normally I got it, or like when I was early, I left. I just came out of the bar or the club, and I said, screw it. I bought the whole pie and ate the whole thing. You know?
Yeah,
Oh,
Emily mentioned, she said that there's a, right outside of Grand Central Station is a New York City taxi station. So
Yeah.
the way the taxis work, they're the yellow or green cabs, and it's a set amount to just get into the car. And then the meter starts running for every
wow.
couple, I don't know how, but they charge. And if you're stuck at a lot of red lights, that meter's running, even though you're just sitting
Yep.
there.
Mm.
It's
So,
gonna go up.
you might think, oh, I'm just going, 10 blocks. I got to pay what? To this Uber driver? Were they crazy? I could just take a taxi and it's, $3.25. It might say a mile or something, but no, it's miles, but it's time really. An eighth of a mile, he says.
Yeah, and then if
And you think, but no, that meter runs and runs, and it could end up costing a whole lot more. Plus, if you go into one of the boroughs, a taxi will cost more. They're going to charge more.
Oh, I could
It's
imagine.
because they're leaving Manhattan.
Wow.
So if you are going to one of the boroughs outside of Manhattan, then Uber or Lyft, or like I said, a local car service will most likely be cheaper. So it's just do that research and plan out your trip. And I just want to mention,
I have a quick question for you, Alice or Keith. What is that bridge? I forgot the name of the bridge that is closer to Manhattan that you're dangling from the outside of the bridge or inside of the bridge. It has like all these like different ways that you can go, and you're kind of like on the outside also. That when you're getting off, you get off and you kind of like in Times Square. I forgot what the name of that bridge is. There's a bridge that is closer to there.
there's
And
no
you're-
bridge in Times Square.
Well, not close to Times Square, but around that area. And I know that when you're driving, you're either driving outside of the bridge. There's like
the 59th Street Bridge.
I was going to say, could it be the 59th? That's a bridge I
Yeah.
haven't.
that is
over a whole lot.
crazy
no,
bridge.
59th Street
That brings you
Bridge.
from Manhattan
On
to
the top,
Queens.
you're outside. On the bottom, you're inside.
Yeah, that is who invented that.
Well, there's the
Yeah.
Verrazano Narrows Bridge. I mean, if you're just talking about being up on an upper level and a lower level, Verrazano Narrows Bridge has
Yeah,
that
but
too.
this one was the one that you're kind of like on the outside of the bridge area, and you're like driving, like you see the people inside, and then you got the outside. I forgot what the name. Well, I'm gonna research to see what the name of that bridge is.
They changed the name to
But we go by the regular official names, right?
Yeah, I know, but as soon as she looks it up, she's not gonna find it.
No, they'll still bring up the 59th Street Bridge.
I know, right?
Queensboro
Anything
Bridge.
is 59.
Yeah, Queensboro Bridge, 59th Street Bridge. Yeah.
Oh my God. This is
I
so-
have this itinerary I want to share with you
All right.
that my sister came to visit when I was in New York City, and it was in 2018. And she brought along her 10-year-old granddaughter. And she said, I want this to be like a history trip for her too. And it was right before Thanksgiving, and she shared Thanksgiving with us. And I put this itinerary together for her. And she was like, oh my goodness, we're doing all this. But this is what I had planned. Okay, so they arrived on a Monday. Then on the Tuesday, 8 a.m., Freedom Tower, 9/11 Memorial. 9 a.m., 9/11 Memorial Museum, averages 2 hours. Then we went to the 12 p.m. Statue of Liberty, and you had to have reservations. And then after the Statue of Liberty, then we walked around Battery Park, and Battery Park is, pretty much all of this is in the downtown Manhattan area. So we, walked a couple of blocks or whatever. It was a nice day, but this is what we did in one morning. And then we went through Battery Park, and there was a sea glass carousel. And it was so nice. I've never seen it before. And I worked right near Battery Park years ago. And this was a new addition to the park. So that was nice. The next day on the 21st, which was a Wednesday of November, we went to the Empire State Building. And then, of course, we went to Macy's to see all of the Christmas decorations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the TikTok Diner, which was on 34th Street and 8th Avenue.
Oh,
and it's a popular diner in New York
Not
City.
not the app to talk. Okay.
While we were in there, we saw magicians walking and getting off buses and everything. I mean, it was by the busload, all these magicians that were going to be in the Thanksgiving Day parade. So that was something I've never experienced before. So that was nice.
That is so
Then we
cool.
continued on to walk over to 42nd Street from 34th, or we might have taken the train. But we went to Ripley's, believe it or not, and then walked to 48th Street and had M&M's World. And then we also went to the Hershey's Chocolate World, and then walked to 48th Street and to 51st Street and 5th and 6th Avenue. And there was Rockefeller Center. We saw the
Yeah.
Christmas tree. And then we went to St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is a huge church
Oh,
on
it's beautiful.
50th and 51st Street. And then we had pizza at Radio City Pizzeria. And after that pizza, we went to see the Radio City Rockettes. And that was
Wow.
at 8 p.m. at night. And then as we're walking to the train station, we passed by a Junior's Cheesecake. So we had to get cheesecake. You know? The next day was Thanksgiving, and we had stayed home and we watched the Thanksgiving Day parade from the warm comforts of our living room. And then in the afternoon, we went to dinner at my cousin's house, and her children were there, and my daughter came, and we had a nice visit with them. The Friday after Thanksgiving, we went to Gulliver's Gate. So everything is like miniature. Because, you know, Gulliver was a giant, right? So they had all these miniature things. And I mean, that was a really interesting. These are things, some of these things I didn't do before.
Right.
And, you know, so I had fun. And then,
Yeah.
of course, we ate a dirty dog and hot pretzels in Times Square.
Wow.
That
If
was
you
our
don't
lunch.
know-
And then we went to the American Museum of Natural History. Unfortunately, it closed at 5:45 p.m. and we didn't allow enough time for that. And then on Saturday, we visited my sister in New Jersey and her kids. And then Sunday, we went to Coney Island and we had lunch at Nathan's later that afternoon.
Can I ask a question? What's
Yes.
Coney Island?
Coney Island is an amusement park area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first original Nathan's location.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you know what Nathan's is?
Yep.
Nathan's Hot Dogs.
Yeah. So they got the hot dogs, the fries, burgers,
Yeah.
all that. It's
They
good.
have a
I
whole lot more
suggest
stuff
you,
too.
you share that itinerary with all of us, and when we go to New York, we can follow that
Yeah.
itinerary. End up
And-
in your house on Thanksgiving for dinner and all. Okay.
Uh-huh. And then the next day, you know, they flew back on that Monday after Thanksgiving. They flew back to Georgia because they were living here at that time.
That
Or
is so cool.
yeah, I think so. So yeah, so we had you know, I mean, you just have to plan it all out, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And now New York City is not like a port in the middle of sea days. Okay, today we're gonna stop at, you know, New York City from this time to this time.
That
It's
don't
not
happen
like
really.
that. It's the
No.
start
Right.
of your cruise or the end of your cruise.
Right.
So you have to decide, you know, what do you want to do? And then, you know, look online, see what you need to make reservations for. How do you get to these different places? And, you know, of course, you reach out to me, I will have fun getting a nice itinerary depending on what your
Oh, yeah,
know,
definitely.
needs and wants are.
That is
you know,
awesome.
The kids, or, you know, is it all adults? And, you know, what do you want to see? But yeah, I used to do that for when I would go visit my mom in Florida, and I have this whole itinerary all planned out. And
That is awesome, though. That is really cool.
yeah. So
All righty. So we have come to the end of our show here today. I hope you guys enjoy it talking about New York. And as you can see, we can probably stay another hour just, you know, just enjoying our New York stay here today. But I just go ahead. You need something. You want to say something, Keith?
Yeah. Next week we're in Anchorage, right? If I'm correct.
That's right. Next week we're going to be flying over or maybe cruising over to Anchorage. It's going to be a good time over there. We got a lot to learn for next
Yeah,
week.
yeah. So we got Anchorage, Seattle, and then Aruba, which I can't
I
wait
know.
because I'll
I
be in Aruba next
actually,
year.
yeah, I actually have a friend of mine. She's an agent that works with us that she lives in Anchorage, Margot. You ever so often you see her. Her name is Margot Anchorage, and I don't think she's gonna be home, but I'm gonna check with her because I might see if I can get her in because she can probably give us some really good
Oh yeah,
information
definitely. That'd be great.
from Anchorage. So I just
Oh,
wanted to say thank you
goodness.
so much for coming, everybody that showed up today for the Across the Wave show. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We love you all to the moon and back. Thank you, Cruising with Keith, Alice Google Studios, Mike and Rheanna Adventure. We just close out another chapter here on Across the Wave, and next week is Anchorage. So I
Bring
look
your
forward to
coats.
see. I know, bring your coats. It's going to be cold in Alaska.
To turn the heat up.
I know. All right. Well, you guys have a great
All right.
evening.
Yeah.
Love you
Good
all.
night,
Take
everybody.
care.
All right. See you
And
next week.
toodles.
Bye.
Bye bye.